Welcome to the Service Contractor All-Star Podcast. We talk about how to make more money, grow your team members, and build the business of your dreams. I'm the host, Trevor Maddox, owner of Motion Ops, the premier software for service contractors. Enjoy the show. Hey guys, this is Trevor here with another episode of the Service Contractor All-Star, and thanks for joining, guys. We're very excited about today's episode. Got my friend and longtime buddy Eric Mealey here joining us from Vivint. We also happen to be semi-neighbors. See him at the gym like almost every day. So
he goes earlier than me when I go early.
Yeah, I see you there every once in a while. So it's good, man. As far as it goes, for context, guys, Eric is a partner at Vivint Smart Home. Started there about 23 years ago. His progression at Vivint Smart Home is start off as a sales rep, grew into manager, regional, and eventually a partner. And for those of you guys that don't know, Vivint Smart Home is, in my mind, one of the largest home service businesses in the country. It started off as basically a small security company in the U.S., and before that is actually a pest control company, evolved into smart security later. And then it was purchased by NRG Energy in 2022 for $5.2 billion. I think it's worth even more now. But Eric, thanks so much for joining us. I'm super excited about this interview, man.
Yeah, happy to be here. And the way I understand it, most of you listening are running home service companies or leadership at home service companies, and that's where my heart is. That's where I built my career. I love entrepreneurs. I love guys that are trying to drive business and employ people, and happy to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much. And I explained to Eric a little bit about the insights here. I think there's a lot of great insights for our audience to get. I think for a lot of our audience, they're growing their home service business, their home improvement company, probably, around 500,000, million, few million. Got a few, they're probably tens of millions. I think the idea, though, of billions is like mind-boggling. And I mentioned that, Vivint's purchased for $5.2 billion. Do you know what the current valuation is, by the way?
It's hard to tell what we're worth because NRG, their market cap today is probably $30 billion, and we're probably a third of that.
Okay. Wow. So up to like $10 billion, right?
I don't know exactly, but we're having our best year ever. We got purchased for $5 billion, and then since then, the stock value of the entire enterprise has gone 5x since then. So it's been a really good run. And our company is up about 35-40% year over year in production and revenue and new sales.
Revenue's still up 35%.
It's insane.
That is wild, man.
Crazy.
And for context, guys, I worked at Vivint for, 10 years, 11 years. Haven't been there for about 10 or 11 years. Even for me when I was there, I was like, man, we'll see if they keep growing.
Yep.
When I left.
Yeah.
And every year, it's like they just figure out ways to produce more, make more, and keep growing. So I think it's a testament to the fact that even if you think you have a lid on your business, it's not real. You can still keep growing. And now a lot of that growth, so when I was there, a lot of the sales were door to door. Some of it was coming from phone sales, inside sales, internet sales. Is it 50-50 now? What's that split like?
So we're probably 60-40 door-to-door sales and inside sales to our call center.
60 door-to-door, 40 call center.
Yeah.
So it's still...
And our channel partners are growing. We didn't do any business through channel partners until a few years ago. We were really kind of strict about we would only let an employee sell our stuff. And we had channel partners come to us and kind of suggest it, and it just wasn't a good fit.
Yep.
And then a couple of years ago, we embraced it. And that business is now arguably the fastest growing piece of our business is our channel partners. Honestly, I don't know why. I think it's gotten to the point that there are companies like roofing companies and just any service provider that
can refer over business.
Yeah, and actually can do it themselves now too.
Oh, great. And they can sell their own deals and everything else.
We have an install force that's nationwide. So I bet it's this. Our financing was, for the first 20 years of our business, was get into debt more and more and more, but it was growth, so it was okay. We switched some things in our financing a few years ago that now make it so we're cash flow positive on a customer day one. And that really just puts you in a place where you can have limitless growth as long as you can get the jobs done, which our installers so far has been able to keep up.
That's great. That's amazing. So now it allows you to bring on more of these partners
to
grow fast.
Yeah, because you're not like, well, should we let these guys have the growth or these guys? It's kind of like, we'll take it wherever it wants to happen. And that was financing structure that had to get fixed.
Yeah, so I just want to pause there for a second. So for the audience, what Eric's alluding to is man, I don't know how much you guys dive in your books, but when you take on a project or when you take on a customer, you really want to pay attention to cash flows. I think that's something that most business owners don't pay attention to. I think a big issue that happens with a lot of these businesses is they run their bookkeeping off of man, I think it's accrual, not cash accounting. And so they mark a sale before the cash actually comes in, which actually it as a business owner, it disaligns your incentives. And so you think you're making more money than what you really are, right? And so with Vivint, I was aware of this when I was there. I mean, when I was there, we wouldn't break even on a customer till 60 months down the road. I'm like, dude, that's an awful business model.
Yep.
But now, because of the financing partners and the way they have it structured, they're breaking even day one. And I think this is a lesson for everyone here. I know, Eric, you went over this really quick, but this is gold right here. Yep. So if you can figure out a way for every aspect of your business to break even day one, like you can just print growth, you can keep growing. There's nothing really slowing you down. Just wash, rinse, and repeat and keep growing. And so, yeah, that was gold right there.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that. So
you bet. And it was a little bit tricky for us. You know, I think maybe some of you are running into the fact that you have to change your model and ask your salespeople or your service people to operate a little bit differently.
Yep.
They had to get us sold on it, because if it's good for the company, but it slows down sales, then you're going to have this conflict. Yeah. So they had to kind of align the incentives with, hey, if this is good for the company, we're going to pass some of that down to our most influential people. And then they got on board, and then it was pushed company wide, and it was really successful. The very first year it was really successful. It took us a couple months to figure out.
Probably a little rough to make that change or that switch, right?
Yeah. And I think, you know, thankfully they had the vision to realize that this wasn't going to work just because they wanted it to work. They had to get all of their best people to genuinely want it to work.
Yeah.
And then we pushed it together.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious, like, how did that happen? They approached some of the sales leadership and said, hey, you know, we can extra pay for you, extra pay for your guys. Like, how did they do that? So kind of get everyone on board.
We're really diving into probably the most important thing that I would want to share with your audience, which is we're a massive service provider. And you were talking about how some of the groups are, you know, doing $1 million of revenue, which is amazing, and probably taking you a decade to get there. And it's so cool. You know, we're $1 billion of revenue, and it took us a long time to get there. But the way you get there is you have to have people who are bought into your vision. Yeah. And what happens in a lot of companies is you're thinking, I'm an entrepreneur, and you maybe think accidentally that your employees are just employees and they're okay being employees and they think like an employee, but your best people are probably just like you, and they're driven by the same ambition. And if they can't feel the autonomy and the ability to grow and to contribute to the business in a meaningful way, then your best people are going to leave you and go become your competition down the road and start taking market share. And so it's a good idea.
I would say that's actually very true of our audience. You know, a lot of our listeners, they've had their best guys go and start up their own plumbing company, their own, you know, and I think what you're highlighting is they can and will stay if they have a vision that's strong enough to propel them, right?
Yeah.
So,
and that's what worked for us is they came to about 10 of us and they said, hey, we need you guys. We think we can take this company to the next level. How do we get you and your best people bought into something that's a good decision for the company?
Yep.
And really that turned into equity. It was, if we grow our company and the value of our company, we're going to let you share in that, and here's how. And
yeah. So having incentives aligned.
Yep.
You know, and I think Jeff Bezos explains this best. He says that if they're a renter, right, they're going to treat your house like a rental, but if they're an owner, they're going to treat it like they're an owner.
Yep.
And I think it's the same thing too of team members and employees. And the other thing too is if you have a vision strong enough where everyone else, big enough that everyone else can fit within that vision and see their own growth within it. So I want to talk about this because you and I are very familiar with the Vivint story.
Yep.
I don't think our audience knows a ton about it, right? So I think this is just interesting for us to talk about for them so they understand. It was started, I think, 1999. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
That's when they started doing security. Yeah.
Okay, 99 is when they started security. Yep. And I can't remember, like 90s when they started. They started as a pest control company by a guy named Todd Peterson from Idaho Falls, Idaho. And they were just basically selling bug spray, right?
Yep.
Selling pest control. And I think it started because Todd, he reached out to guys saying, hey, I want to come sell for you. He's like, dude, I'm not going to let you sell for me. Like, so he just got pissed and he basically started his own company.
Yeah.
And basically recruited a few buddies to go sell, and they lived out of a trailer the whole summer selling, right?
Yep.
But you want to talk a little bit about kind of like the origin story, because I was there from like 50 million to 4 billion, but you want to kind of share with our audience a little bit about that growth and some of the phases and
Sure.
kind of what they went through.
Yeah, and just for context, I'm the most tenured employee at Vivint. I've been there for almost 25 years now, and decided a few years ago that I'm just going to give it my career. This is where I'm going to start and
Awesome.
finish. And
It's great.
I'm in other things that
Yeah.
just make
Yeah,
life
that's things on the
interesting,
side, yeah.
but this is where my heart is. Yeah, so Vivint was pest control for a few years. I think what they identified pretty quickly is that in that business, there wasn't a lot of room to differentiate from the competition, and he wanted something where he could do that a little bit more and where the margins could possibly be a little bit better.
There's only so many ways to differentiate spraying for bugs, right?
Yeah. Although, I mean, there's some really great pest control companies out there, and they differentiate by really great service to their people, but it's hard to be a fundamentally different business than the other pest control company.
Yeah.
Where with technology, when you get into the smart home, you can really be different. Anyway, so they got out of this pest control space and got into the security space as a broker only. They didn't hold their accounts, they didn't supply equipment, they didn't manufacture anything like that, but they could have a higher ticket item, a little better margins, and the way you would install it in someone's house, you could actually do a better job and feel like I'm better than the next guy. After a few years of that, they decided we want to in-house our accounts, which that's when you take on debt, because instead of getting paid $1,000 every time you sell an account, now you're getting paid nothing, and you're fronting the money, and you're paying your sales reps, and you're getting yourself in debt. And that was a big difference with the way they financed the business. They would get their money over 5 years, finally break even after 5 years, but then hopefully hold on to the customer for another 5 years. And that's where all the profit came in, which was potentially a lot more.
Yeah.
But as they scaled the business, you got more salespeople and more trucks and more housing and just this infrastructure you're building, and they couldn't keep up
Never-ending debt.
with their debt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they always had more debt than they had profit. And then finally they changed the way that they finance that customer to, we're going to have a partner finance the upfront cost, and they're going to give us the cash. So day one, we're going to be cash flow positive. And that changed it to be a more profitable business. Now you've got a partner that is taking some of the profit long term, but it was still a good choice for them.
Yeah, offload the debt somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Take the cash immediately.
Yep.
You give us some margin, but they take on a lot more of the risk, and
Yeah, and they were
a lot more.
Vivint was a sales-focused company. They had to partner up with good service providers and eventually had their own installers, but it felt like sales. Now Vivint has to be a world-class
Service provider.
Yeah. Or we wouldn't hold on to our customers, and really we didn't need to do that for the first few years. We could kind of crash our way through markets and sell a lot and hope that the customer experience was good. But when we started holding on to everybody, and now we have a nationwide brand, we actually had to think, like, are we doing a good job as a service provider? And thankfully they have. I mean, that's not my thing.
Yeah.
I'm here to teach sales reps how to do their job and have a great experience and change their lives. And thankfully we just have other great people doing the other side of the business.
Yeah. So we're talking 2025, 90. So it's about 35 years in, multi-billion-dollar company, $10 billion company.
Yeah. And really all of that value was created since probably 2008, 2009. So more like a 15, 16-year run.
Isn't that crazy?
Of value growth.
Yeah. I mean, the first 20 years are just grinding, and I don't know if you got some stories, but like I know, I've heard stuff from Todd, heard stuff, through Alex, Sean Brenchley, his kids on my son's basketball team. So I hear stories from him, but it's like, guys, there was times, and it's this huge company now, but there was times where, the owners, the principal holders would have to mortgage out their homes just to clear paychecks for sales guys.
Yep.
And so, it's a grind, guys. It's not easy. And I even talking to Sean sometimes, like, man, there's some times where it's like, hope we make it to next year. You know what I mean? And so, I don't know. I mean,
I think
go ahead.
That happens on two levels.
Yeah.
Because everybody's business within our business, it's so big that, just because the company's doing well doesn't mean that I'm thriving.
Yeah.
And my success has come in waves for sure.
Same way, right? You probably had some amazing years.
Yeah.
And some years like, what am I doing?
Yeah. And honestly, I'm a big believer in the fact that success comes in waves to people whose work ethic does not come in waves. You cannot just work hard and expect that year to go well. you've got to work hard for a decade, and then success is going to come when it wants to. Market factors and, just things are going to happen. And if you're awake and ready for that, when opportunity knocks, you're going to be able to take advantage of it. If you're sleeping or absent when opportunity knocks, it's going to pass you by. And that's been how it is for my career. There's been times where for 2 or 3 years at a time, I'm working so hard and it's just not working. Like just the things haven't kind of come together the right way, the right leadership, the right markets. And then, fast forward a couple years and all of a sudden everything is going better than you deserve. And momentum seems to make you look worse than you actually are when it's not with you, and better than you actually are when it's with you. And thankfully, I've been able to, in 20 plus years, have both of those. Vivint's had the same. Obviously, in 2008, 2009, it was impossible to get finance for anything.
Oh, yeah.
And that was one of the
I
things.
remember those years, man. Those years were tricky.
Yep. Yeah, I was sitting in a meeting. And
I think the owners did a very good job about managing the crisis without freaking out everyone in the company.
Or
like, I was kind of aware, but there was definitely a freak out mode for
Yeah. Behind the scenes, there were some freak out meetings, where we didn't know how we were going to fund the business, and that's
like
where
we're gonna have to cut half the teams. I heard rumors about that.
And they actually did. They did. Yeah. I mean, there was a year, 2009, when they had to say, "Hey, we can't."
I think they got rid of some of the Canadian teams or something, right?
Yeah. Canadians. But they're back now. Canadians are crushing it now.
They are.
Yeah,
it's awesome. I love it. Yeah, lots of interesting stuff we can talk about here. I think currently you talk about channel partners. I think when you and I were chatting the other day, you're kind of mentioning you're fairly involved in channel partners now, or what's that look like? You talk about other companies selling, roofing companies. I mean, some of the people listening might be interested in that. So
yeah. So my mindset on that is, so you understand the nature of our business. We are a seasonal sales business in the past. The model was, Todd Peterson, as a college student, recruited his friends in college to go sell a product. They would sell everything in the summer and then make enough money in the summer that they could afford to go to school.
Yeah, not have to.
And then rinse and repeat. Yep. And that's what we all did for 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
It was just,
I paid my way through school debt free. It's a great model.
Yep. Recruit the kids, get them ready for the summer, go work super hard, make as much money in the summer as other guys are making all year, go focus on school, do it again, do it for 3 or 4 years, then go get a real job. And then this job became legit enough that people started sticking around. But the seasonal nature of the business, we were doing, and still are really, doing probably 95% of our sales during the summer. Now we do a little bit more outside of the summer months. But when I was looking at the business a few years ago, I'm thinking, I've been here for almost 20 years. I've had a great career. If I'm going to stay here, I want to stay excited and I want to work on something.
Yeah.
And I went to Todd and just said, "Hey, this is what will keep me here long term. Let me build a dealer program. Let me get the thousands of people who like Vivint, who currently can't sell it because they don't want to be an employee of ours, to be able to go sell this stuff." And right now it doesn't exist. It's broken. And so if you'll let me do this, I'll recommit and I'll just finish my career here. And we just bootstrapped it. I mean, there was no department. It was, thankfully, I don't know if this is helpful, but I kind of found 3 or 4 people in our company that were really key to fixing something that was broken. And for us, it was, finance was broken for dealers. They got paid wrong. They got paid like an employee. They hated it. And then installs were not good for them because the way they installed nationwide was really different than our internal.
Probably wouldn't show up a bunch of the time, and super scheduled out, all that stuff, right? Yeah.
They were used to being in a little market with 20 dedicated sales reps that were working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, and they would just do all these installs and then quit. 4 months of craziness and then quit. And dealers don't do that. They just sell some business all year. And so it wasn't set up to do that. And then the third thing was the way we onboarded them. It was confusing. They'd get weird messages about our activities, and it was just weird. So we had to fix those things. It was almost like what we were just talking about with the company getting us on board with equity. I had to go to these 3 individuals and say, "Hey, will you help me fix this for no extra compensation and no recognition, because we're doing no volume right now, just because we're friends. Will you just help me with this for the next 6 months?" And thankfully they did. And we fixed some stuff, and now we're going to do 2.5 times more this year than we did last year.
That's great.
And probably 25 times more than we did 3 or 4 years ago.
It's amazing.
And it's a really meaningful part of our business because if you think about it, we're a publicly traded company. And if we're making all of our revenue, all of our additional revenue, our new subscribers are coming in a 4 or 5 month period in the summer, and then we seem kind of dead during the winter.
Yeah, it's good to kind of have that stabilization.
It's confusing for an investor. Maybe landscaping companies run into the same thing, like they're busy in the summer and quiet in the winter, and you got to figure out a way to supplement that. But we needed to spread that out. We couldn't just rely on college students' summer break. So this is one of the ways that we're doing that, is going to people saying, hey, go sell our stuff all year long. We'll pay you aggressively to do it. We have to figure out a way to do that without upsetting our internal sales force, which is currently doing way more than the dealer program and is a more important channel. And it's working. It's working great. It takes a lot of work.
What are some examples of channel partners that you guys have? Like insurance companies? You mentioned roofers.
They're
a bit of everything.
They are mostly dedicated salespeople that are doing volume. There are some roofers and other service providers that are bringing us just incremental volume. And most of the time, it's not actually, it will be a revenue play this thing's only been around for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So we just don't have a lot of partners yet. But we are making millions of dollars of revenue in it. Probably it's been great. But what it really is doing is it's allowing them to give their customers an additional service that is really valuable for the retention and the loyalty of that customer. So if a roofing company's doing $100 million in revenue a year and they're adding $2 million with us, it's not super meaningful for their company.
Yeah.
But it is something where their sales reps can make a little extra money, and they're honestly passing on a lot of that money to the sales rep, but it's a good experience for their customers.
Yeah.
That's where the value's been for them. The ones that are dedicated sales forces, we're going to like sales reps for hire companies and grabbing 10% of their sales force and saying, do Vivint.
Yeah.
Those ones actually do a lot of volume.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Awesome, man. And your current role, like what's your day-to-day like? I have an idea, but I think
so day-to-day is those young college kids.
Yep.
It's that group is still half of my time or more.
Yeah.
They're
sales teams.
And they're so fun. It's what it's like to have employees and see their lives change, and
it's great.
That whole process, that's just the best part of the job. And actually, I think that's why Vivint founders and the executive team, all of the people who you worked with, they're all gone.
Yeah.
And the company is up 30% year over year.
Which is wild to me.
Wild. And
like, how does that happen?
And genuinely, we're as happy as we've ever been.
It's awesome.
Without people that we're like, man, if they leave, I don't know if this works.
Yeah.
And it's as good as it's ever been. I think it's because we feel like we're making a difference for our employees right now, and they're having a great experience, and we're changing people's lives together. And honestly, that's more, I don't know, it hits you in a different spot than your bank account.
To see the growth, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's been great.
It's funny. You and I were chatting the other day, and you're like, yeah, I'm pretty much the only one that you knew back in the day that's still there. And I think that's very true.
Yeah.
Like it'd probably be very hard for me to find anyone else I know.
Yeah.
There.
Well, sometimes I feel like it's hard for me to find people that I know. It's a massive company. We've got 20,000 employees now.
Who's the CEO right now?
CEO is the CEO of NRG, and that's Larry Coben.
Okay.
And he's awesome.
Is there a president of Vivint, or who's
acting president would be Dave Porter, and he's a Utah guy.
Okay.
So that's great because we still have a guy here who kind of understands the Utah culture, grew up here. He's got feet on the ground with us here, and he'll come to meetings and be very present. He's really good at that.
Yeah.
He got promoted from an operational kind of responsibility to being the president of revenue for this channel, and really is like acting CEO of Vivint, and is way more involved with the salespeople than he used to be. And I think what happens with these executives is when they get to know our sales force and they see how electric it is, it's really intriguing. Like it's kind of, you can't stop watching.
Yeah.
It's like,
and I think
pretty fun.
So there's a few things that I want to talk about with Vivint that I think is very unique, that there's a lot of takeaways for our listeners, right? So, we keep talking about this door-to-door sales force, electric, opportunity for kids, electric sales force that you just don't really find many other places. So I think the key takeaway here is if you have a business, you want to find a very unique go-to-market strategy that isn't being leveraged anywhere that can give you advantage over the competition, right? So what did Vivint do? in my mind, they're the best at door-to-door, right? There's other
Yep.
companies that do door-to-door. There's the best at it, the best training, the best recruiting, the best development, the best production, the best culture. There's a lot of things that they do. And that's what made them a $10 billion company, right? So you want to maybe talk about some of the things that make the door-to-door program so unique? Like there's things we do from a culture perspective. There's things that we've done from a recruiting perspective, just everything. What makes it so unique?
So I would say just on the valuation thing, sales alone never could have done it.
Yep.
So thank heaven we have the backbone of a great product that our salespeople can get passionate about, because the best salesperson is pushy because they believe in it, not pushy because they want a paycheck.
Yeah.
So when your sales reps look at the company and what the customer is about to get into, because there's always objections and there's always a fight.
And I think a lot of that, is to interject, I think a lot of that comes from the owners early on. Instead of taking money off the table, just kept reinvesting, and they're smart about that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they actually didn't make much money. I remember learning that the CEO, this is back in the
we
day.
made way more money than they.
Yeah, they didn't. I was telling them.
The other day, Sean was telling me how much they were making. I'm like, what, dude?
Yeah, it was. I mean, they were making 100 to 200 grand.
Yeah.
When they owned a massive company with a lot of revenue, and I was a little puzzled. I'm like, you got a lot of people that make more money than you. No, like, it's the long game. They also had a jet and were paying themselves 100 grand. It was just, it was almost confusing to us. We're like, there's a lot of nice cars in the parking lot, and they're nicer than your cars, for a while. It was cool to see them reinvest. I think that was a belief in the business, and just knowing if we do this right for a decade, then, we're going to be able to do whatever we want. And honestly, the business has retired, 100 millionaires. Yeah. I mean,
a lot of people.
Yeah. So, and I mean, you took advantage of it and then catapulted what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So what makes Vivint's Salesforce special? I think it is, number one, it's built on the back of a legit company that we like and respect. But to be honest, I'm not passionate about smart home.
Yeah.
And if I went and sold solar, I wouldn't be passionate about that. And other things that you can kind of consider, not passionate about it. I'm super passionate about seeing a 20-year-old come in and give me his time and energy and willing to move across the country and work for me 60 hours a week for 20 weeks straight. And I know that if this works for him, it's going to change his life.
Yep.
And generational change with these guys.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, they're not going to have enough money to pay for their next semester of school.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of responsibility on leadership to provide a good opportunity. So then that creates a few things that Vivint does well. And I think the thing that people think of is the incentives and the swag and the culture and the events. We are all about putting that in our guys' faces all the time. And we set up tournaments that were basically copying the biggest sports franchises and stuff. Like our cup starts this Saturday and it'll run for 3 weeks and will break every record in the history of Vivint during those 3 weeks.
The cup is wild, dude.
It's awesome.
You literally go kill yourself to have your name on a placard.
Yep.
On a freaking trophy.
But they market it so well.
Yeah.
And even back in the day, because we didn't always have the budget that we have now with film crews that are willing to go to Hawaii and have helicopters filming stuff happening and get everybody hyped up about a trip to Hawaii. We didn't always have that. We had phones and, a little tripod that you got on Amazon, and, but they did as good of a job as they could at hyping that up, showing the things that you could get, telling people you're going to get on stage at the end of the year, and creating a real competitive atmosphere where people really wanted to win. And one of my most competitive guys, a 300 account rep, which is a lot, that's pretty world class. He's like, I'm all about competing for the Snickers bar. If you just give me something to compete with, and I know I'm going against that guy, I'm going to beat that guy. But it's not really the thing. It's the fact that we're going to hand it to him on stage at the end of the year.
Yep. The recognition.
And when you go to that banquet, so maybe there's a takeaway here for people, that awards at the end of the year and recognition. And if you can pit people against their previous year, or just ways to bring the competitiveness out of people, everybody has that and everybody misses that. All these guys that are doing their trade, they played high school sports and they're like, oh, if I could just feel that again. And if we can give that to them, even on a small scale of just 5 people, this crew against that crew, and how efficient you are or safe you are, or the savings that you can get us, or whatever it is, just these little things, it just makes the job fun. Instead of just going and doing your job for the day, it's, can I get it done half an hour quicker?
Yeah.
Can we get it done with breaking less things? And then you're measuring it, and you have a reason for people to report at the end of the night. And so it turned into this culture of fun accountability instead of antagonistic accountability.
Yeah, it feels
It
more
was
like
fun.
a competition or a game.
Yeah.
Not really so much a job.
And you're just looking at all the stats that matter to your business, and you're like, all right, we need more installs early in the day, so let's call it early birds. Early birds are worth 2 points.
Yep.
And then everybody wants to be the early bird, and they're competing for a hoodie, and the revenue goes up by millions of dollars, and we spend $100,000 on we're a big company.
Yeah.
Maybe this little trade company needs to spend $10,000, but the efficiencies and the savings and the extra work they get out of people, and you might need one less employee because everybody's so dialed, it will easily do it when you create fun, gamified accountability with the metrics that matter in your business. It's such a cheat code.
And I think a lot of it too, Eric, actually starts with where you recruit from to begin with. Vivint, very good as far as recruiting a lot of these former athletes.
Yeah.
Guys that understand how to compete, ladies that understand how to compete. Because you put people like that in an environment like that, yeah, dude, they're going to freaking fist fight you for a Snickers bar.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter what it is, man. It could be fighting against their grandma, dude. They're going to fist fight them for that Snickers bar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like, you get these people that haven't really competed. You try to throw them that same environment, dude. They sink so fast, right?
Yeah. And then you get, instead of at the end of the day, employees calling each other saying, oh man, it was hot today. It's, hey, did you get that thing done today?
Yeah.
Because we're going to win if you got it done. And they're holding each other accountable. And you're like, I just delegated a lot of my job, and they're kind of doing it on their own. And I had to set up this culture, this little gamification and just stats and stuff that matter. And I guess it comes down to alignment again.
Yeah.
It's taking business priorities, giving some reason for your employees to care about them.
So it's creating the incentives, creating the hype, creating the excitement, but then also recruiting the same type of people that actually thrive in that environment.
Yeah.
I know when I was there was a lot of farm boys and a lot of athletes.
Yeah.
That was a formula to success.
Yep. And military. We love
military, same thing. A lot
military,
of
farm athletes.
Yeah.
They're all great. And guys who have done church service, those guys too.
Yeah, they're used to knocking on doors for free.
They know how to knock doors. Yep.
I came home from my mission. I was like, man, I gotta get paid for this. Sign me
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. I was doing this for free, and it was hard, and I had to wear a goofy suit. Now I get to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We like those 4. But you get, once the culture's there, then you can bring people in from all walks of life, and they just kind of go into the culture. And if they don't, they're probably not who you're looking for.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun to see that it kind of, you need 60% of your people bought into it, and then the rest of them will conform.
Yeah. And I've been through cycles of that, even at our current, handyman remodeling company. It's like, dude, the systems are there, the process is there. And I look at them like, no, it's the wrong people. I got to get them out and get the right people in. And I think it's just something that any business owner, even, yourself inside of Vivint, should be very aware of. It's like, if they're not buying in and I'm doing all the right stuff, it's probably just a people thing. You know what I mean? So,
and it might be a you thing.
Yeah, it could be.
Could be. Something that some people need to recognize is, like, Todd started the company, and he's such a passionate person that he was a great voice for that.
Yeah.
But since then, we've had other leaders, because there's been a few CEOs now.
Oh, yeah.
And some of those CEOs,
Todd was great at casting the vision and getting
unreal,
stoked, dude.
Yeah, and he could get you jacked up about just going big at whatever you do.
Yeah.
But there's been other CEOs that are like, I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
But we have to have that guy.
Yeah.
So then they find someone else, and that self-awareness is important for a business owner.
Yeah, and if it's not you, get someone else that can be that guy.
Someone's got to be that guy.
Yep. Yeah. Another thing too. So we talked a little bit about recruiting and finding the right people that thrive within a culture. I think something that Vivint really thrives at as well is their training. I don't know what they do now, but at least when I was there, you'd have online training portals, you'd have videos from the top salespeople sharing what they're doing. Do you want to talk a little bit about kind of some of the training that Vivint puts their salespeople through, puts their other company departments through, stuff like that?
So I can't speak to the technical training that other departments are going through as much. I can speak to the performance-based training that we go through, which would be, your people in the field that are out there carrying out a job. those people. The one thing I would make sure of whenever you're doing training is you start with why before how. I'm going to teach you how to do this thing, but I got to convince you that it matters so that you'll listen to me and want to do it better. So when we do our trainings, I did one today. I did an hour and a half training on closing sales.
That's great.
Because I noticed we have stats that show us how many people had their credit checked and then went through like a pre-survey. They were interested in the business and then they didn't get installed.
Yeah.
And ours is a little bit too high. Like I'm looking at our business and we're doing pretty good. My chapter of the business is performing really well. 62% up last week over the same week last year.
It's amazing.
We're doing great.
It's great growth.
Yeah, it's awesome. Super happy. But we want to do better. And one of the things we've noticed is that we have more interest and a little less closing than some other groups. So I'm going to these guys saying, hey, the reason I'm doing this is because you guys are on your feet and you're out there sweating just like every other rep. But there are reps on other teams who are putting in those same hours, who are closing 2 more deals a week, which to them is $1,000 a week for the same amount of time. I'm going to teach you how to fix that. And then we can actually go into how do you close.
Yeah, then they pay a little more attention. Then they're a little more eager to actually apply it. Right?
Yeah, they're like, whoa, that's true. Like he's not asking me to work any harder. It's literally do the same thing I'm doing right now, but make $1,000 more a week. That's okay. I should probably listen. And then you go into it. Another thing that I would say about anyone who's doing training is you have to approach training like a coach, not a professor. Professors deliver content, but there's no follow-up. They can't. It's just deliver the best content I can and hope for the best. Coaches will deliver their message and get right into repetition and observation and practice, and then they follow up with them the next day and the next day because they have to force change, not just deliver a good message. And your business owners are like that. If you're going to deliver training, the most important good training motivates and lets them know that you're competent, but follow-up is what creates the change. So whatever the training is that they're giving, the thing that creates the change is the next day saying, did it go better?
Yeah.
And then again the next day and kind of forcing. Follow-up is the change happens with the follow-up.
Yeah. When I was training teams at Vivint, I always had a sales training cycle where every day I train on the same 6 subjects. I just train on it differently, right? Over and over again.
Yeah.
And so it really helped to get people through a learner's curve. Now, I think one thing that business owners get confused by, and a lot of businesses, you see them fall into this trap, is they focus a lot on new hire training, but they don't focus a ton on their leadership development. I think Vivint does a really good job about developing their leaders. How do you train your next group of managers? How do you get them ready to go lead teams and recruit teams? Can you speak a little bit about some of the things that Vivint does from that aspect?
So if you don't do what Trevor just said, what you have is Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. You've got a very talented business owner that has high vision, that knows what he wants, is capable of doing it. And then you got 20 people there's a pretty big gap between you and them because you're not focusing on your second tier and getting them to the next level. So it's exhausting to feel like I'm dealing with all of these entry-level people all the time, but it's actually probably your fault.
Yeah, because you haven't taken the time to develop anyone.
That's right. Yeah. So it's also easier to train new people because they're so receptive, and the leveling up happens so quickly that it's kind of fun for the trainer to see how much better they get. When you're working on someone who's been with you for a couple of years and you're trying to work on their leadership or, whatever it is that they need, the progression happens slower. There's a little bit more resistance. That's tricky there. So it takes a really good leader. And I think the key to that is giving them vision of why this matters. And you start talking to those people about, hey, I know you want more. I know you want to be a business owner. I know you want to actually make an impact on our business, not just do what I'm telling you and get paid. You actually want to have influence. I want that for you too. What I need to see from you is these behaviors, and then it's actually going to be good for your career and you're going to have more impact on the business. We don't give second tier leaders enough credit. We might have just been the first person to start the business, but that doesn't make us the sharpest person in the room.
Yeah.
Hopefully we've got 2 or 3 employees that are a little bit threatening to us because they're so intelligent and creative and ambitious.
If you don't have those team members, you don't have a strong enough team.
No. Yeah. So when you identify those people, you hold on to them for dear life. It's going to make the business more interesting to you. And then 5-10 years down the line, you've got this group of 2 or 3 or 4 people that really feel like partners instead of Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. It's a group of people who are leading together. And you're still the CEO, you're still the founder, you might have the most upside in the business, but they feel real ownership over what's going. And then as far as what you're actually doing with those people, it's different for every business. But just thinking that way, if I was in their position, would I be happy or would I be unsettled and looking to get out?
Yep.
You know, and really trying to build around those people is so important.
And one thing I want to hit on that I think is very insightful for our audience, I see you, Eric, as a very smart business person. You know what you're doing. You've been around the block. You could go create your own business doing tens, hundreds of millions of dollars if you wanted to, right? But you've been here at Vivint, longest tenured employee, and you just told me, like, dude, I'm going to be here till I'm done.
Yeah.
So I think the real interesting question is how do a lot of people in our audience that are growing their own businesses, like, what got you to want to stay at Vivint and be at Vivint and grow at Vivint? Like, I think they're all intrigued. How do I get people of Eric's caliber to help grow my business?
Yeah. So first thing I would say is it is not the product.
Yeah.
I don't think a landscaper keeps a entrepreneurial minded, growth minded, ambitious young leader because they love landscaping.
Yeah.
It's because they love their contribution. They love their pathway. They love that they personally get to evolve. And that's what I love about Vivint. When I have felt held back a little bit or unappreciated at Vivint, those are the times when I've been like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
Because I'm built to want to put my heart into something and see what it can do. Right now, the culture there, thanks to great leadership at Vivint, just certain individuals that are, man, they've got good chemistry with each other. They appreciate their people. They give us room to kind of spread our wings and go try things. We're financially sound, so we can kind of do that. That really helps. But that's what's kept me there, is the fact that I can feel like I'm running my own business. I'm creating ideas that matter to my people. When I think of some solution, I've got an opportunity to go implement that and make mistakes. All that stuff is like keeping me feeling alive. If that stuff wasn't there, I would like to think that my personality would need to move on almost.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if this is the case, but I would hope that my personality would kind of burst that little bubble and just need to go do something else. That's probably kind of what happened to you. And that's so awesome. I mean, my oldest brother, I have one brother. He's my older brother. He was my top rookie one year and he made $100,000 his first year with Vivint. And at the end of the summer, he was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'll never do this again. So cool. Love being a part of it. Thank you for helping me make some cash. He wanted to go get a PhD and go pursue this thing, but it wasn't the right path for him because he just had dreams that didn't align. But mine was, I want impact. I want to feel like I almost have limitless income.
Yep.
And Vivint has facilitated that.
Great.
So I wouldn't try to get people to fall in love with your business. I would try to get...
It's more about the opportunity.
Yeah.
And the growth for your people.
Yeah. Retention is about them being fulfilled.
And appreciation. That's appreciation too. Right?
Yeah. And them feeling like they have an impact. Look at what you did.
Yeah.
You did this to the business. And that's how it helped our people. That's how it made us more money. Recognize them in front of people. You know, you try to recognize publicly and critique privately.
Yeah.
That's what's kept me around. And I love it. I'm happier than I've ever been. And I've been there for almost 25 years.
Yeah. It's awesome, man. I love it. Now, what's anything new that would like maybe even blow my mind about Vivint? It's like, oh yeah, we're doing this or doing that. Anything that's new or?
I think you would be surprised at how happy everybody is.
Really?
Yeah. I think you would come in and be like, this feels so fresh. It's 25 years old. How is everyone so excited?
So I'm just curious about that, right? Because I just want to speak a little bit about the vibe because I think there's some interesting insights. When I was there, culture was good, training was good, opportunity was good, but I think it was a little bit combative.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people would it's like, it's not a great place to be, a little cutthroat, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Just because, I mean, it's natural when you get a lot of aggressive, strong personalities in the same room, stuff like that's going to happen, right?
Yep.
Do you feel like a lot of that vibe is gone? Do you feel like some of that's still there?
Some of it's still there because we are all competitive people.
Yeah.
But I think
most of it's gone.
It's like curbed.
Yeah.
I think that
do they realign some incentive packages to kind of get there, or what do you think happened?
I don't think it was the incentive packages. I think it was they honestly had to change the personnel. And I actually don't think it was any individual that was a problem. we just got to the point where chemistry wasn't good.
Yeah.
And they tried to fix it and it wasn't fixing. And at some point they were like, I like all of you as individuals, but this group is not working.
Yeah.
So they changed some personnel, moved some people. They gave people packages to just say, you've been so meaningful to the company, but it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Some of it was circumstantial. People just left because they had made their money and they moved on. And the mix up, if you add it all up, was good enough together that there was just kind of a refresh.
That's cool.
And
sometimes you just got to let that lower tier of leaders just promote and elevate, and it's just got the fresh air.
It's
right?
a really hard call to make. I had a big breakup with business partners a few years ago, and when I was looking at, I'm not happy, I'm not getting the results that I want, but also they're not happy, and I don't know whose fault this is.
Yeah.
It might be my fault. I think we're probably all at fault, but I know this isn't working. And when we fixed the personnel issues there, which part of it was me and kind of making some moves, everybody was so much happier.
80% of issues in business are usually personnel issues.
Yeah, and a lot of the
80%.
time you've got a bad person,
Yeah.
and you just have to get real about it and say, this is a real problem, and this is hard, but we've got to make a move.
The way I look at it, it's not necessarily a bad person, just more just the wrong person for this role, right?
Well, I do think sometimes there's just a toxic person.
Yeah.
But I think most of the time,
I know I had to get rid of one of them in my org the other day. It's like
it's tough. Yeah.
producing, but it's like, man.
But I think you're right. Most of the time it's more of I don't know, these 5 people could be great in other places, but you put them together and it's just not working.
It doesn't work.
And you can't let your business suffer because of that. You've got to make a move.
Yep. I agree.
I asked a guy, this guy's name is Ryan. No, what's his name? Oh gosh, Todd's buddy that owned the trailer that they started the business.
Oh, no way.
It was
Guy's like a legend, man.
I'll think of his name. Anyway, he
You heard that trailer story like the whole time.
Yeah, horse trailer out in Arizona, no air conditioning. Anyway, he came and spoke to my group.
That's cool.
And I said, top piece of business advice over everything else you've learned in 30 years. And he said, choose the right business partner. That's very first. I would rather have a mediocre product with great partners than a great product with mediocre.
Yeah, the right partners will figure a better product.
Yeah.
No, that's great, man. So a couple last questions. We'll wrap it up. There's been tons of great insights here. I think this is worth listening to multiple times. But so if you had to choose one business book that's like the most influential book that could really impact that really impacted you, could really impact your listeners, what would you recommend and why? And then also, if you had to choose one business mentor, alive, dead, whatever, where it's like, I want to spend a day with that person, who would it be? So book and business person.
So Excellence Dividend by Tom Peters.
Never heard of it.
It's so good. It's read by, I do audiobooks. I don't read much. It's just hard to find the time. I would get Audible and I would listen to Excellence Dividend by Tom Peters. He covers and he reads it himself, and he's got kind of a football coach voice that I really like hearing. Yeah. Just sounds like a tough dude, but really intelligent. It just makes great points about, he's very thoughtful about the little mistakes that we make and how to create a business that you're proud of. So that's the one I would say for the book. As far as a mentor, I mean, honestly, I would say Todd Peterson. He changed my life, and he stayed involved in my life currently to this day for no reason. If I had to say something that I learned from him, it is just this relentless passion for going big at everything that matters to you. Yeah. And really not spending much time on things that you can't be passionate about. Although you got to do accounting, you know, and I don't know that Todd Peterson wanted to do that.
That's why I had Keith, dude.
Yeah.
That's what Keith.
Yeah. And Keith was amazing at it. But sometimes you just got to dive into things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
But if you can spend as much time as you can on things that you're passionate about, have the self-awareness to realize what you're not great at. Because Todd, he's late to pretty much every meeting I've ever had with him and some other things that are just like glaring, but he made it work, and he surrounded himself by really talented people, and he treated them extremely well, even when he didn't need to. And what's cool about him is he made his $1 billion and he stepped away from his company, and he's still willing to hop on a call with me and 20 young leaders for no incentive at all, because you can tell he's just bought into helping people. Yeah. And that's, what helped him be successful in the first place. But I think the biggest takeaway from 20 years of working with him is just to get chest pounding, passionate about a few things and go super hard at them. If there's one thing that I would maybe say in conclusion is that hindsight is 2020, and I'm really grateful to be able to work and live around a bunch of my best friends from college. And most of us came from humble beginnings.
Yeah.
I had no money as a kid and great family, but we just didn't know how to make money.
Yeah.
And a lot of these families were the same way. And now they all have money. We moved into a nice neighborhood. We bought dirt, we developed it, we put houses on it, and it's fun to see it all come together. But if you look at what they do for a living, they have nothing in common.
Yeah.
But they've made it work. And the one thing that they have in common is that for their first 10 years in business, they were just insane. Just did it to
grinding
death.
it out.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to.
Their 20s, early
pros.
30s were just an insane amount of grind and sacrifice. And now you see the lifestyles that they have now. And actually, they still work hard, but it's a different type of work. It's like they've kind of created this career wave through their work and their reputation, and now they get to ride that wave.
Yep.
And it looks pretty flashy. There's still work to do, but it's a little bit different work than paddling against the waves that they did for 20 years at first.
Yeah.
It's that would be my answer, Trevor.
That's awesome, man. So for our listeners, if they want to get more Eric Mealey in their lives, I don't know, questions about Vivint, channel partners, maybe maybe they want to send some kids to go work with you for a summer to learn how to sell. How do they interact? How do they get a hold of you? Instagram, it's easiest.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, and I'm not on it very often. I have some postings that go on there because people help me film some stuff and put sales tips out there. That's really it. And then bi-yearly, I love my wife post, that kind of thing. Yeah. But Eric Mealey on Instagram.
Forget those, dude. You want to be in the doghouse.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably post the same picture too, because I'm not great at it.
Yeah.
But that's how you would get in touch with me. And honestly, I love business. And I love seeing people work through things. And I've had so many people join calls and little podcasts and stuff that we've done over the years for free, that if anybody wanted to reach out to me or have me hop on a call with 10 employees and just talk to them about how, you work hard for 10 years and you kind of own something together and what it can turn into, I can certainly be a voice of that, and I'm happy to do it. So reach out to me there, or reach out to you, Trevor, and you can get in touch with me, and I'd be happy.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. So thanks so much for being here, and thanks so much, guys, for joining us for another episode of Service Contractor All-Star Podcast. If you appreciate the content, just ask you subscribe, ask you ask you drop us 5 stars to give us a great rating or whatever, but we really appreciate it. Until next time, we'll see you. This has been the Service Contractor All-Star Podcast. We talk about how to make more money, grow your team members, and build the business of your dreams. I'm the host, Trevor Maddox, owner of Motion Ops, the premier software for service contractors. Join us next time for more amazing content.